Hey everybody, welcome back. It's DJ, aka the Aspiring Gearhead. It's been a while since I've uploaded a video and I got salad in my teeth. Starting right for eating healthy, I guess. Anyway, it's time to get back to it. I think as I've mentioned in the last video or two ago, I gotta remember, I don't know much about tuning cars or any of the more elaborate stuff. So right now I just make sure I'm gonna build up to it by handling basic maintenance. It's been kind of hard to figure out exactly what to go with because a lot of the stuff that I find interesting seem to be working okay, and a lot of the things that I need to work on I hadn't even looked into yet. But I figure I'll just start going down the list of what's in my service manual. I figured this next one's going to be pretty easy, so I should be able to get through that pretty quick, and I'm going to do another thing. Basically, what that is going to be is changing out my taillights and changing out a PCV valve. Taillights, obviously one of them went out. Kind of a funny story. I was up at the park doing my morning training, and a guy actually pulled up behind me. He was like, "Oh, yeah, one of your lights is out. I don't want you to get stopped by the cops." I mean, not funny, haha, but yeah, interesting that somebody else actually noticed it. And he's like, "Yeah, he's right." The one time I got pulled over because the bulbs over my license plate went out. So I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably something I should deal with." But anyway, onto the PCV valve. As far as I can tell, I mean, I haven't really gone under the hood yet, but it hasn't given me any kind of trouble that I would notice. But I figure, well, with gas prices still being up there, it'd be a good idea to not only go over the basic maintenance just to make sure everything works, but to see if maybe I can get get the best possible gas mileage out of my car, so I ain't got to refill every week. Ooh, that gas is kind of depressing right now, but I think it's getting better. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, so I figured even though there's nothing really wrong with it, I imagine the thing only cost me $4, and I can't go wrong with learning how to check it and then replacing it even if there's nothing wrong anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and get under the hood and do that. And since I don't expect much trouble out of either of these, I'm just gonna put them into one video because I figured splitting this into two, pretty boring. But anyway, first I'll start with the tail light. Yep, bulb's definitely burned out. That was the first time I've really looked at it. I just took the guy's word. So yeah, so first things first, pop the hood. Oh, pop the trunk, actually. At first I was worried I was going to have to pry these two things off, but turns out they actually put in a little door so you can access the taillights, which I'm thankful about because it's going to save me some work. First, disconnect the current so I can pull this bulb out. So next I got to push this half of the harness through the hole before I remove the housing from the body. I think in the video I saw, I did this after, but I'm like, I'm already here. And next, I'm going to use a socket to remove these 3 bolts. And here is the brake light. Guess which one is the new one? And that's one down. Now onto the PCV valve. So according to the service manual, the PCV, which is not to be confused with PCP, which will have you tripping balls on a car with Denzel Washington or Wayne Brady. Honestly, I don't know which one would be more fun or more scary. But either way, the PCV system stands for positive crankcase ventilation. It says the positive crankcase ventilation system directs blow-by gases from the crankcase through the PCV valve and hose back into the intake manifold so they can be burned in the engine. The system consists of a hose leading from the valve cover to the intake duct to the PCV valve and a hose connecting it to the air intake plenum. So still not entirely sure what all that means. Got to do some more digging on the ins and outs of an engine, but I pretty much get the point because there are pictures. So I'm going to test the PCV valve based on how the service manual tells me to, and then either way I'm replacing it. So let's get started. First I'm going to take off the valve cover so I can get a better look at the PCV valve. So this right here is the PCV valve. Just got to disconnect the hose so I can unscrew this. So here's the old one. Doesn't look too horrible. It's got a little bit of a crustiness around the thread, but as far as I can tell, it seems okay. Now, for a new one. Yeah, and they both jingle a little bit, but this one jingles more. So, based on the videos I saw, apparently that makes a difference somehow. But yeah, here goes old versus new. Black versus silver. Honestly, black, silver, and red is my favorite color combo. But yeah, black and silver by themselves, not bad too. So, next step is to screw this. Actually, first I'm going to go ahead and put this back and test it. And I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. So basically the test is disconnect the PCV valve from the valve cover, but leave it attached on the other end, and then start the car, and while it's running at idle at normal temperature, check to see if there's suction on this end of the hose. So time to start the car. There's a bit of suction. I'll test it with the new one just to see if there's a difference. So yeah, there's suction on that one as well, but it's actually a tiny bit stronger. Like, I can just notice the difference. So hey, I'll take it. So now to turn the car off, screw this new one in, attach the hose, and I'm good to go. I'll take it for a test drive to make sure it still holds up. I also accidentally put a little tear on this cover that goes over the spout of the PCV valve. I'll have to look into replacing these little pieces, but hopefully it shouldn't be too much of a problem. My battery pretty much hit the last of its charge as I was gonna go drive, so I didn't record that part. But long story short, it worked. So anyway, I guess I'll take this moment to kind of wrap up everything. So for the taillight, easy enough. Didn't mess anything up. Got it all done, and it actually got me thinking about one of my next videos, which is I want to, well, first I have to replace one of my taillights because it has a crack in it, and you know, I figure that's the kind of thing you should deal with. And then also at some point I want to take out the taillights and more importantly the headlights and clean them up. Like the taillights, I think those are pretty good aside from the missing piece and a few scratches here and there. But my headlights, yeah, they're really foggy. So I should take a minute to clean those when I get a chance. And I figured, if I'm doing the headlights, maybe I'll do the taillights too. You know, just take them all out. Along with the, that also reminds me there's a few other bulbs I have to replace, but those are inside the car, and that's a different story. Now for the PCV valve, First, I figured out what the rattle is for. It's because there's a spring mechanism within it which allows for the blow-by gas to pass through. And usually if it's not rattling, that can mean that it's stuck in position, which is not good. But anyway, I actually figured out what it does, like what that stuff I read out of the service manual means. So basically, from what I can tell from my research, I know some of you probably already know this, but for those of you that don't, basically when the air and fuel are mixed together for combustion, blow-by gases, which is the gas that makes it past the piston rings and into the crankcase, those pretty much settle there. And if they're left there, it can cause problems, sludge, and a few other problems as far as, in the environment. So back in the 60s, I think it was 63-ish, they started putting the PCV valve, which uses vacuum to pull those blow-by gases back up through the PCV valve, through the intake manifold, and back into the combustion chamber so that they're properly used. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, I don't know that much about engines. I'm getting to the point where I can actually point to this and say that this is that, so on and so forth, but seeing how much is going on, it's pretty cool. Only downside is I'm pretty much only getting into this just as electric vehicles are becoming a thing, so I have to figure out how those work too. But hey, who doesn't love a challenge? But yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. This is DJ, aka Aspiring Gearhead. See ya.